Welcome to Calming the Chaos, where I help you find peace in a chaotic world. I'm Tracy Canella, licensed mental health counselor who talks about chaos from a mental health perspective. And I give you self-help resources you can use to calm your chaos in any situation in this world. Isn't this fun? It's not a substitute for counseling or psychotherapy, but just a lot of helpful hints and tools. So if you're on board, feel free to tune in. And now, let the chaos begin. Well, the chaos has indeed begun. And in fact, I have been noticing an uptick in chaos for the last 2 months. Today, as we're speaking, it is July 24th, 2024. And I've been meaning to make this video for a while now because it just seems that chaos is rising further and further. And then as soon as I think I want to make a video about it, something else happens. So I'm going to try and cover as much as I can in a short amount of time. For those of you who don't know what chaos is, it's a bunch of things. So it's something that happens or something that's in your state of mind. So it can be external or internal chaos. So it can be environmental, and it can happen suddenly, and it can be very big, something like a hurricane that you kind of know is coming, but oh my gosh, when it hits, then it is worse than you expected. And then it causes this confusion and mixture, and somehow you get all mixed up. There's a lot of emotions involved, and then we don't know what to do because there's just so much. It's confusing, it's mixed up, it's intense, it's big, and it comes out of nowhere. So when you think of these things, and I'm thinking more about world events and pretty much specifically the events that are going on in the United States right now, I think of chaos because there is just so much that's happened and it continues to happen in this world. So I will attempt to lead you through some of the chaos that maybe some of you who haven't been watching the news or don't know about all of it or haven't put it all together in one nice, neat little package have not done yet. And then give you a tip and a tool at the end that you can use to calm your chaos and make sense of some things. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little trip down memory lane now. And we are going to look at a graph. Now, this graphic, give me a break. It's not the best graphic, but hey, I used some PowerPoints and I thought, you know what, this is going to work for me. Hopefully it'll work for you. But here's my graphic that I made. And it's a timeline. It's called Chaos is Rising, right? And so yes, humor me here. Chaos is rising. We are talking about chaos. And where I'm going to start is back in June, on June 3rd. So we're talking right now, it's July 24th. So it's not even been 2 months and all of this stuff has been going on. You see here that there's personal chaos. That is our baseline. We want to say it's the baseline. Baseline chaos is going to be those things that are normally happening that are causing you confusion, being mixed up, that might be overwhelming. In fact, I have another graphic I want to share with you because what it does is it tells what typical people are experiencing as far as stress. So when you look at this, what is stressing America out? There are a variety of different things, inflation being number one, that's 83%. The future of our nation, which, we've had a lot of political stuff happening recently. Violence and crime is 75%. So still a substantial amount of people are stressed out by that. Mass shootings, although they're not that common, we just did have an assassination attempt on our former president, which we can get to in a minute, which leads to gun violence at 72%. So people are really stressed out and concerned about this. A lot of information is out there causing a confused mess or mixture. So chaos, right? Healthcare, people who have health problems or have problems affording healthcare, accessing healthcare, that's at a 70%. Increased global tensions or conflicts, so things that are happening internationally and conflict, and then the current political climate. And so, as we see, there are so many things that can be included in this baseline chaos right here, where it says personal chaos, that you hear every day. There's conflict across the nations. There are inflations. I guess that just rhymed. There are problems with people thinking that gun violence is really, really high and a bad thing, and other people who are concerned about crime. But that is where I like to begin, is because we have a baseline of chaos anyway, individually, and it affects our life domains. I love this palm tree, by the way. I made this a while ago. Yes, through PowerPoint. And you know what? It really kind of puts it into perspective. So we might be experiencing chaos in all kinds of different life domains. I'm telling you, when I say I like doing this work as far as calming the chaos, is I do like to find out and gather the facts. And so then when you look again, then you look below here, because I had to, in my little graphic, just go as the chaos goes up. The chaos is going up here. Trump was convicted, 34 charges in a scheme to illegally influence the 2016 election by paying Stormy Daniels the $130,000 that was orchestrated by Michael Cohen. But the illegal part was the falsifying of records, and 34 false entries were made as legal fees. Those payments were made to Cohen. I explained it as well as I could. But now we go to June 27th, 2024, where there was the presidential debate. So we've got this guilty verdict. There's Trump, and convicted of all 34 counts on the hush money trial. And I think that's a little bit misleading when you think about it, because, it wasn't the hush money, it was the repayment and the falsifying of the records that he got convicted. But okay, let's do that. And then we go to June 27th, and we've got this presidential debate that we had. And I have to say that this really caused me a lot of chaos, because I felt so bad for Joe Biden out there being what I thought was just in a daze. And it wasn't so much that I thought that he was doing a poor job at the debate. I was really personally concerned about his health. And so when you have somebody in charge of the country who doesn't appear to be in very good health, but yeah, it just was not something that inspired trust. And I think that what we want as a nation is somebody in charge who we can trust in our country, and to be able to make rational decisions. So that threw me anyway into a certain amount of chaos, like, oh my gosh, we are in trouble as a country. And then I used a skill to be able to calm myself down, which I will tell you at the end of this video. So there is the presidential debate, and then rising chaos rising it was. Because, it was funny. I, as you know, am into true crime. And I was really, really on this whole Alec Baldwin case. Now, for those of you that don't know that, a beautiful cinematographer named Helena Hutchins, she was tragically killed on the set of one of Alec Baldwin's movies, Rust, where Alec is the producer, director, and one of the directors and star and actor. So he plays a lot of different roles, but he was working with a gun, which he thought was a prop gun, and it was loaded with a live round, and sadly ended up killing Helena Hutchins. So there's the backdrop to that. And just to know that I wish that Helena's family all the very best as they work through this, because the trial was a very high profile one of Alec Baldwin. And of course, I was glued to my YouTube, even more than usual. So then, here we have Alec Baldwin, and here's the judge in the case. The chaos for us started on day 3, when the defense for Alec Baldwin introduced new pieces of evidence that the prosecution tried to hide, and that was live rounds and bullets that nobody talked about and nobody informed the defense about. And so when the defense said, hey, we know about this key piece of information hidden by the prosecution, right? Then we started to wonder what is going on here. Now, the prosecutor.
Her name is Carrie Morrissey, and here she is, and she actually took the stand to talk about her own involvement in this.
And she took the stand, which is almost never heard of in any trials, is that the prosecutor took the stand, and she was a witness. And it was, again, if you haven't seen that last day of the trial where she went and took the stand, and then she was giving all these answers about and excuses about why this evidence was withheld. And man, my blood pressure went through the roof. I have to say, I just couldn't believe it. I watched that trial, and my pressure started going up, and I started to feel angry at the prosecutor. I started to feel confused. And then, when I saw that Alec Baldwin, basically the judge in the case here, she ended up dismissing the case with prejudice, a wild day in court. And so now Alec Baldwin walks a free man and could have actually gotten away with murder. We won't know because the jury never had a chance to deliberate, and they never were able to reach a verdict because the judge dismissed the case. So where that goes from here, we don't know, but that on the trajectory here of chaos was right here. Wow. In the true crime community was just blowing up with it. And then the very next day, so that was on July 12th about Alec Baldwin. The very next day, we have an assassination attempt on our former president, Donald Trump. We have historic pictures, and my friend Valerie even has a t-shirt, a commemorative t-shirt, which I will show you here. And what happened was this threw our country into a tailspin. If a former president who has been surrounded by Secret Service cannot be safe in this country, who can? And it really brought to light, for me anyway, how important safety is to a lot of people. A lot of people value safety, and they actually behave in different ways. They make decisions in different ways in order to be safe. So, for example, I can feel safer with my home security system and my cameras, and Joe down the street could feel safe with his collection of guns and his AR. So we all try and feel safe in this world, or as safe as we can. But this really threw us into chaos because it happened very suddenly. It was unexpected, and it was very intense. When you see all of the images and you see our injured president there surrounded by people who are trying to put his head down, that's exactly the protocol you're supposed to follow. And then you see pictures like this staying here, and you can't even see the crowd. But this assassination attempt, you can see that their faces, they are rushing to action, and they're really trying to get the situation underway, and not doing something in my mind that was really intelligent, because you're supposed to keep your head down when there's shots being fired, and not doing what he did. Obviously, I'm happy that he's okay and there wasn't a second shooter, or they had obliterated the shooter. But man, did that chaos level go up. And in my graphic, I did put it right up there, and it's there. But it's so funny because we still have somewhere to go, right? Because guess what happens next? Not very long later, on July 17th, we find out that President Biden has COVID. Biden has COVID. There it is right there. Chaos goes up even more. Is he dying? Is he like, what is he doing? He looks like he's coughing. He doesn't look well. He didn't look well in the debate. Who's running the country? Are we safe? And I think that continues to remain the question. Are we safe in this world? And if our elected leaders aren't keeping us safe, or there's conspiracies, or there's prosecutors, like Carrie Morrissey, who are hiding things in the background, what are we supposed to depend on? And I will tell you that there is a way that we can do that. And I will continue to review this chaos. And the funny thing about this graphic is I made it the other day. I think I made it then on the 19th of July, and that was on Friday. I started making this graphic because I wanted to, I usually make a video, and it comes out during the weekends. And no, it didn't happen this weekend because things kept happening in our world. But that's when the CrowdStrike thing happened. It actually, with Microsoft and CrowdStrike, affected so many people in so many places. We've got this, the airplanes were grounded and on some airlines, people's flights were canceled, the plans were interrupted. This is pandemonium here. This is where it really rose to the occasion. My husband works at Dick's Sporting Goods, and apparently their computer system was shut down and they had to do some workarounds. And that is just the tip of the iceberg there. All these really major corporations and things that depend on CrowdStrike and Microsoft to run their businesses were affected. I like this picture of the computer screen, the blue screen of death. Dear customer, let us serve you on another register. But the thing is that other register does not exist because they all had the blue screen of death. And so again, we are looking, and on Friday, when I put this graphic together, that was the top of the chaos wheel. But there are a couple of things that have happened since then, right? And I want to talk about those things because one major thing happened on the 21st of July, and that is that President Biden stepped down as being the incumbent running mate, the Democratic candidate for the United States president, and endorsed Kamala Harris to do that. And that really threw us all for a loop because we didn't expect it, but we've been hearing rumblings about, and I am one of those rumblers, about Biden maybe not being fit for office, and that maybe running wasn't such a great idea, that maybe he should just enjoy the rest of the days of his life. So, but to have that announcement come very suddenly and very much with a lot of voices chiming in, with a lot of information coming in, and then not enough information coming in, was really, really difficult to handle. Wow, okay, things are getting real. And what's going to happen with the presidential race? What's going to happen with our country? And again, it goes back to decisions, because as voters, we're going to have to decide things and decide who to vote for, not just presidential candidates, but our local officials and all of these political figures, Senate, House, all these people, local offices. But it brings up the topic of safety. So safety and decisions. And that's when I started thinking about, wow, my video is starting to take a different form here. And maybe the skill or the tool that I should be giving is a different one. Now, before I give that, because we're running short of time, I'm going to say that there is another couple of chaotic events that happened in the days where Joe Biden stepped down as the Democratic candidate. So one of them was the interrogation, or I would say harsh grilling, of our Secret Service person. The head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, and boy, did she take a grilling. And I watched that, and here's a picture of Kimberly. She looked so stressed out. I was frustrated because she wasn't giving a lot of answers or any at all, very limited information. And they grilled her. Congress grilled her, or the committee of Congress that were talking to her, interviewing her. She had to show up by subpoena. Again, this is something that is just wild, and in conjunction with everything else, put into perspective, we are literally that frog in the boiling pot of water, although the water, of course, doesn't start out as boiling. It starts out, go back to the graphic here, it starts out as baseline. And then all of a sudden, we are that frog. I'm concerned about the amount of information that's out there. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video too, is to condense it all and to put it into perspective, that you have all of this stuff happening. Chaos is arising. And so then it becomes, what do we do about it? And I figured out the skill I was going to teach. And then this morning, of course, I turn on the news, and this other committee is, I see, the first thing I see this morning is Matt Gaetz grilling the head of the FBI about the Trump assassination. How did it happen? What have you found out? All this information. So we're flooded with even more information. And so I know this video ended up being a little bit longer than I had wanted it to be, but let me get to the skill, because I think it's really important for us to at least have something that we can take with us, not only to feel safe in the world, but to make good decisions. Oh, and before we go to the skill, one of my favorite people has died. That was Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart was a comedian from the 70s. I think he was probably even before that. I grew up with Bob Newhart, and he's the one that really inspired me to do the work that I do today as a counselor and a therapist. He was a psychologist on the Bob Newhart show. Love that show. Love Bob Newhart. Rest in peace, and pray for peace for Bob's family members. You have really given us a lot of laughter, and that is good for the soul. Thank you, Bob Newhart. So in a previous video that I'll link below, or I'll put on some end cards if I can get those to work, I talk about gardening and using this skill. I think it's the 5 A's. And of course you can use that skill in any situation, but if you want a quick and dirty skill, you want something from Dialectical Behavior Therapy. Dialectical Behavior Therapy does offer a really nice skill that I like to use and you can use it in any situation, and it's called Wise Mind. It's a simple Venn diagram, and that is, we start with the emotional side on the left. Emotional mind is going to be all of the feelings that we have. So let's just use the Trump assassination attempt as an example. He may or may not have taken into consideration that in attempting to assassinate a former president, he would himself die, and or he would survive and go to federal prison. And so that's what I want to leave you with here today, is that all of your decisions and choices surrounding safety and the decisions that you make can be made with a combination of emotion and reason, taking both into account, because we can do all we can for ourselves. We cannot decide for others, but we can use the Wise Mind Dialectical Behavior Therapy tool, this simple tool, in order to give credit to the emotions, to give credit to the reason and the facts, and to make what I hope to be wise choices for all of our safeties. But we can only do it ourselves. We can only make our own choices. And so that's why I felt it was really important to put this skill out here, because I would really like in the future for us all to make wiser choices for the safety of our world, safety of our families, the safety of our animals, the safety of humankind. So with that, I'm going to say, I wrote a song last year, I believe, or the year before, that had to do with true crime, but I think it has some merit now. I'm just going to go ahead and close with that and wish all of you a really wise mind, decision-making, safe day. And thank you for watching Calming the Chaos. Take good care.
Another daughter goes to slaughter, faces twist in pain. A stupid alibi might just clear the guy who rides a crazy train. This world's gone crazy. Things are spinning round and round. Well, someday maybe we'll calm our chaos down. Another child is gone, last seen on the lawn of the 2nd Street in Maine. Mom cut all the ties with all those stupid guys, but it was all in vain. This world's gone crazy. Things are spinning round and round. Well, someday maybe we'll calm our chaos down. Someone lost control while he was on parole. He drove through that parade. Families start to cry, seeing him on trial and acting so insane. This world's gone crazy. Things are spinning round and round. Well, someday maybe we'll calm our chaos down. 4 kids in Idaho, white car on the go, and the internet explodes. Cops and sleuths and clowns in suits, and they all think they know. This world's gone crazy. Things are spinning round and round. Well, someday maybe